Welcome to Follow South Jersey's Follow Salem podcast about the people, places, and all things good in Salem, New Jersey. Today we are talking with Sonita Johnson. Sonita is pastor of St. John's Pentecostal Outreach Church here in Salem. She's also a community activist and coordinator working with food distribution, Salem City Community Ambassadors, and other community initiatives. Welcome to Follow South Jersey's Follow Salem podcast about all the people, places, and all things good in Salem, New Jersey. Today we're with Pastor Sonita Johnson. Pastor, hello. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Sonita Johnson? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
Okay. So I would say, if you can sum me up in one word, I would say competitive. I grew up right here in Salem City.
Right.
Went to high school in Salem. I'm a country girl, so very, very strong. Worked in the tomato fields and just love people. All my life I've been in church. And so when you have that type of close-knit family, mom, dad, my dad was an evangelist and a pastor, and we were always thinking about just serving people.
Right.
As I was growing up.
Right. Where'd you go to college?
Went to college at Messiah College, which is a Christian liberal arts college. I have a biology degree, and it was in Grantham, Pennsylvania, right outside of Gettysburg.
Right.
Small knit school. It's called Messiah University now.
Right.
Ran track all 4 years there. Never ran track before in my life, but I ran track in college.
Right.
And then
I heard you were very good at that.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I still hold some of the records there.
Right? I was saying, you're a record holder, right?
Still
What
hold
records
some
do
of
you
the
hold?
records. The 400 meters.
Okay.
It's 400 meters. And it's just something when, if you think about yourself, your mind, your body, and your spirit. There are things I can do from my mind. Give me a good book, and I can just read. You don't have to even talk to me. Just put some food under a door, and I enjoy a good book.
Right.
And I can read all day. And for my body, just getting out, nice day, power walking, jogging, and spirit, get me a good self-help book.
Right.
All kinds of, the double win, or give me the Bible, or any type of self-help. I'm always reading,
Right.
Trying to improve myself.
So, what drove you to pursue a career in community service or people service and leadership? Was there a certain point in your life when you said, hey, I got to serve people?
Well, you know what? I thought it was like eating or breathing.
So it was always like that for you?
I didn't even realize that there was community service or service. I just knew that we had to treat people as how you wanted to be treated. We grew up, we had to love people, and we could not, if you had something negative to say about somebody, we couldn't say anything.
Right.
Literally, and then we were taught, if somebody is talking about somebody, it was your responsibility to say, that person's my friend. You really shouldn't say that to them. They're not here.
Right. Where did that come from? Was there mentorship? Was it your parents? Was there somebody else?
I think it really did come from the family that I was raised in. It was very strong Christian faith family. My dad was from the South, Aiken, South Carolina.
Okay.
My mom is right from here, Salem County. And I think about, growing up with 5 brothers and 2 sisters.
There's where the competition comes in.
Oh my goodness. It's, we had to read a Bible verse before we could eat our dinner. But we also, I didn't like this, but if we were fighting each other, my mom would make us kiss each other on the cheek. That was the worst.
Right.
But it was like, it was raised in a community where we respected our elders, our parents, and it was just serving love. And we saw it, we watched it. I watched my dad help people, and when he passed away, I didn't realize how much he was helping until I heard some stories that I never heard of before.
Right.
So sometimes you have to serve and do it quietly. So even though I'm outgoing, I need to be humble. Even though the kids call me the queen at my church, because I like to dance and have fun, but I really want to help people and do it in a quiet way. I don't want to help you and then turn around and
Say, look at me helping everybody.
absolutely. look at me helping everybody.
Right.
And it comes from deep rooted within. I was 12 years old in Vacation Bible School when I accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. Best decision ever. Best decision ever. No matter what question you ask me today, I will share with you everything is from that moment on.
Okay.
Because I was a nerdy kid. I was a nerdy kid in high school. Nerdy. That's why, I love reading and I love people. But when people picked on me, I got called all kinds of names. And then it was my parents who said, when you go back to them, when they call you names, when they talk about you, just say thank you. And it got to the point where, as they were calling me names, I would go up to their table and I would say, I love you. And then they would throw their food at me. They would throw their food at me. But today, those same people who called me names, we have one person who is now a pastor, and he sends money to Salem City every month. And he supports my ministry. And I'm telling you, you never know how God is going to work in your life.
Right.
And it's just incredible what their church does for Salem City.
Wow, that's great. So you've been pastor at St. John's Pentecostal Outreach Church since June of 2018. What brought you to that church?
I grew up in the church.
Okay.
So there's only been 2 pastors in that church. So it was my dad and me.
And you? Okay.
So it was a church where, I used to help out with the food pantry, help out with daycare. And, my dad, he was a logger, he was a pastor. And I would just come home and I would sit in his chair. And I didn't have any titles. I wasn't the minister. And he would come in and I would say, do you need me to get up out of your chair? He would say, no, just sit there. And I was his gopher. I just wanted to, can I do something for you? Can I make a flyer for you? Can I help with cleanup? Can I clean up the church? I enjoyed doing that. I felt so good because I could sleep so good at night knowing that I was able to help someone.
Right.
So when I worked for Merck for 23 years in pharmaceuticals and got laid off, the first person I called was my dad. And I said, I can now help you with the Salem City Outreach Pantry. So even though I had lost my job and a lot of other things were going on,
Right.
I was out there saying, good morning, how are you?
Right.
Because it wasn't about me. It was about how can I help somebody else?
How do you deal with those conflicting feelings? You had to feel one way when you're getting laid off of a really strong job, and then putting that face out of the face of faith, if you will, in front of everybody else.
You just said it. So I have this unbelievable load, and because of my faith, I was like, God, you got this. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't have a job. I just lost my 6-figure job. And I need help. I got to navigate through the systems of unemployment, and I need food. I have 3 children, and more things started happening. But how it came about where I can forget about myself is that, Lord, you got me. I know you're watching over me, Psalms 91. Will watch over me, protect me, and just helping somebody else. It enabled me to feel good about myself, helping somebody else get food, because, God has given me so much of a big network. So I knew the right people, the connections, and how to get food stamps, how to fill out an application. As I'm filling out applications for myself, I'm filling them out for someone in our community too.
Right. Yeah. So how does that background help you out? Like your pharmaceutical negotiations for unions, account management, product sales, sale launches, management training. How does that help you with, 1, running the church, and 2, doing the community outreach that you've been doing?
It's awesome because I know how to clean a church. I know how to get under the garage, and I know how to treat people who are at the door, who are holding the door for you, who are cleaning out the bathrooms, all the way up to the C-suite. I am not afraid to talk to people who are smarter than me, and sometimes people who are cleaning the bathrooms, you never know. They are somebody is smarter than me, but you just got to get to know them.
Right.
So that background experience, you never know when you're going to use it. I remember when I got called up to Trenton to represent someone who was in addiction recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got called up to Trenton, even though I have never experienced, being addicted to drugs, but because I know that sometimes people can't talk for themselves, I will get on the table and I will talk. And I will tell you, according to the government guidelines, and I can read a book about 600 pages in a night.
Right.
So God has given me that talent, not just for myself, but for somebody else.
Right.
So when somebody's saying, you can't have this resources because it's according to this guideline, I will read the entire guideline to fight and advocate for somebody who can't fight for themselves.
Right. Very good. So you have a degree in biblical counseling, yes?
Not yet.
Not yet. So you're
Not
working
yet.
on a degree in biblical
I
counseling.
am working on a degree
right?
in biblical counseling.
You've also studied abroad in Hong Kong.
Yes.
I've heard. Okay. How have those experiences shaped you as an individual and as a leader or leadership approach?
So starting with my degree in biology, that is like technical skills. I heard that, if you have a degree in biology, you can learn anything.
Right.
So having a degree in biology, then getting my master's degree from the Joseph Katz Business School in Pittsburgh, and I was the first person in Merck to take 18 credits and 19 credits the next year. The executive MBA program, I was the first person to take that type of program while working full time.
Wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot, but knowing that when you get a degree, no matter how old you are, you get education, you read, what are you going to do with it? And my thing is, now how can I help myself? How can I help somebody else? And, I always thought growing up that I would be in the Peace Corps.
Okay. Yeah.
I just thought that was pretty cool.
Right.
So I've always thought about how can I help other people? There was just something about helping people, and I want that to be my legacy, that, Pastor Sonita, whether you call me Sonita, the Queen, Salem City Advocate,
I think I want to start calling you the Queen, actually.
Yeah, they call me the Queen.
With that
but
one.
but it's I have so much energy, and I call myself a extrovert, but I'm also a geek.
Right.
I love to read.
How's the experience of being abroad, like in Hong Kong? How does that serve you? And would you suggest it for younger people and when they're in school?
I would suggest going anywhere that's different from what you're used to experiencing.
Why is that important?
Because it gives you a sense of what other people are going through, what other people are appreciative of. It makes you appreciative of your own country. I came back to the United States and I was like, wow!
What happened?
I just had no idea how wonderful it was to be an American citizen. I made sure all my children say thank you to every veteran that you see. You go up to them, because we have so many freedoms that we just take for granted.
Right.
And we're so blessed. Being in Hong Kong, I studied with, at the Asian Institute, and I was over there a month, and it was an experience that was just wonderful. From the food, trying different foods, to experiencing a different culture.
Right.
Over here, I didn't realize how much networking is truly important, and how gifting is considering bribing over here, but over there, that's the way of life. Right. So I had to learn different cultures and different ways of things, right. Which when we're over here, you should be able to sit down with someone no matter what they look like, because I've learned that in order for you to have the best team, you need to have the most diverse team. You want to be more successful, you have people on your team that are really different from each other. Now, it's going to be challenging for all of us to get together and to understand communications and life skills and where you come from. But if you get that really diverse team, you're going to really be successful. And I used it when I was at Merck. I tried to have Asian, African American, white, people from the North and the South.
Right.
I tried to pull together my team to be so different and to really appreciate, older person, a younger person. And then when I had an older person who could not believe that somebody from the North, African American, was managing them, I sat down and tell me what you used to do and tell me what you did when you were younger. Why aren't you promoted? You've been with this company for years. Oh, I don't. And at first it was like, I don't want to really talk to you. But the more I talked to some of my salespeople that got overlooked, I realized they stopped performing at maximum performance because they didn't have that hope.
Right.
So we were able to give them that hope, work as a team. I got people promoted, and I just absolutely loved it.
About relationship building.
It is about relationship building, and it's about, and if I do something that offends you, I'm going to apologize for it. And I hate to apologize, but I am going to apologize for it because I know I'm wrong. And even if I didn't know I offended you, I'm going to sit down and even just this afternoon, my negotiating skills and people skills, communication skills, I had to use it today. I had 2 leaders at my food pantry. One was there at 7 a.m., rearranged everything. Somebody came later and took everything off what the first person had done. And they were at each other. So I said to them, I pulled them together and I talked to them. I told them why I liked these 2 leaders, what they had in common. And what they had in common was they are both type A. I can call them in the middle of the night and they can help me. I can call them to help me clean up. I can call them to help me work with, I know that we have 200 to 300 people coming for a food pantry. I said, I don't know what kind of outreach that we're going to have here in Salem, but I know that these are the 2 leaders. You have to work together. And I didn't tell them to do it, but they actually hugged each other.
Nice.
And for me, I'm like, yes.
Right. Very nice.
To me, that's a huge win. I don't want to lose someone that is waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
and I don't want to lose someone that at 9 o'clock at
Right.
night. And we're talking, this is someone who's older. This is a senior and a younger person. So,
Right. And that's how you pull together the diverse community.
Absolutely.
And dealing with people who may disagree with exactly not what you're doing, but how you're doing it.
yes,
It's building that relationship, having them talk it out, forcing them to talk it out.
forcing them to talk it out. And because it has happened to me. It has happened to me at Merck in different divisions. And I'll tell you, when you get an edict where I'm working with a Hispanic woman and we had the same level and we decide not to work together, and our bosses, this happened at Merck, our bosses came and said, Sonita, if you don't work with her, you both will lose your job. Effective immediately, you have to start working together. Oh my goodness. I said, why don't you come in my office? I mean, our bosses were regional directors. We were actually running our teams. And I had people and responsibilities, so did she, but she was on disease management, I was on sales. But we were told that we have to work together or we would lose our jobs.
Right.
So sometimes we can't put those type of edicts in place, but when you're talking about community engagement, there are players at the table that you have to respect each other. You have to learn how to love each other and appreciate what they bring to the table.
Right.
You don't have to agree, but you have to appreciate what they bring to the table. And sometimes you have to talk to someone else to figure out how this person can help the team.
Right. So let's take us back to the community. So what would you identify as some key issues in Salem today? If we have to come up with the top 3 issues that would need to be dealt with, what are they?
Okay, top 3 issues. We don't have a grocery store.
Okay.
People are hungry. Safety and having things for people to do.
Okay.
Those are our key issues.
So let's start with food. All right. So Salem is considered a food desert. The closest, I think, is either in Pennsville or Woodstown. What's happening?
A lot.
Okay.
A lot is happening. When you are a food desert, you're going to get people to speak up. You're going to get get the community to speak up. You're going to get a diverse line in food pantries. We have a Salem area ministerium that works together. I love the lodge ministry. What city has a lunch every Saturday at a motel at 12 noon where the entire community can go and get a hot meal? That doesn't take one person or one ministry. That takes people. And
Right.
I'm not even responsible for that.
Right.
I'm excited that I'm here in Salem, that happens.
Right.
So even though I have one of the larger food pantries, we're open, and because of COVID, we went from twice a month to where we're open twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
And we're open from 1 to 3. But we want to teach people how to fish.
Right.
So that's why community engagement. Let's talk about networking. How can we get a grocery store here? How can we
Is
get
that
better?
happening? Are we networking, or are you a
We
part
are,
of networking?
we are networking. So I can share with you, and I know we don't have all day. So I can talk about just grocery store over an hour or 2 or
That's
3.
okay.
So here's
the abridged version.
So here's what we're doing. Stand Up for Salem and St. John Pentecostal Outreach Church work together, and we actually wrote a grant together through the Neighborhood Revitalization Tax Credit Grant. Now, there's a lot of players here. And so a portion of that grant was to have a community ambassador. And I was like, wow. So we actually have a community ambassador, Minister Davenport, and she focuses on those 3 areas: grocery store, safety, and having things for our people to do.
Mm-hmm.
So there are monthly community meetings here. Maybe not in this room where we're doing this interview, but
Right.
it's actually here in this building,
Right.
where the community can talk about their issues. So it has forced me as a pastor, so when the state has a food security meeting, it was a statewide meeting, I went. Because I want to see how people are re-engineering their food pantries. How are we connecting with people? So from that meeting, I saw a flyer where there was called a seafood gleaning program where you can get fresh fish.
Wow.
From that meeting a month ago, we are now getting fresh fish through seafood gleaning program, America's seafood gleaning program with Brick Wendell.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting fish directly from Point Pleasant to St. John's. But it's not just our food desert. Now we're able to help some of the other counties.
Right.
Because when we got fish that was 40 to 50 pounds, I couldn't use that. The sea bass, we were giving out sea bass last week. You should have seen our people. I can't tell you, I have pictures. This is what I get excited about. But when we got that big fish, I called another pantry in Cumberland County, and they took 3 fish and they cooked it, made tuna steaks for 120 people. That's what Salem City is doing. I mean, so you're like, what's big, what's happening?
Right.
So not only we're looking at ways to help Salem, we're actually helping other counties because we're now reaching out. Didn't take us much if I have something that I can help, a resource that I can help somebody else, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So at the same time while we're helping. And even today, after this meeting, one of our county councilmen, Dr. Daniel Timmerman, we're all getting together with a food program that's very successful, Rosselli's Market, very successful in another county.
Mm-hmm.
How about Logan County? And so the mayor is like, well, we're doing a refrigeration truck and fresh food, and so we have to look and learn and see what they're doing, what success looks like. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to be quiet, take notes, listen to what other people are doing. That's this afternoon. That's this afternoon.
Right.
So there are things happening on the food program. And this is our city. We have a little over 5,000 people here, but when you're from here, Salem City is so awesome. And so we're going to work on this food area, try to get people food, whether it's fresh food, working with, the New Jersey, the Food Bank of South Jersey,
Mm-hmm.
working with PSC&G, Mannington Mills. We're working with all these local companies. I have companies right now that are actually running food drives the employees.
Right.
New Jersey American Water, they're actually working and handing out food for our people.
Right.
I think we even have Miss September Fest in Pittsville that's coming to show some love.
Right.
So anytime you have people that want to come in and help, I just think that's huge, especially when it comes to a food desert. Getting a grocery store is very difficult,
Right.
and we know that, but can we look at those refrigerated trucks? Can we look at those pods? We know that ShopRite has about 60 families here that they're giving food to and they're delivering food to. So we're talking to some very high people in leadership
Right.
who can make a difference.
Right.
So maybe you, Dean, know someone that you can connect us with
Right.
that can be a speaker for us
So this
here
is why
in Salem
you're
City.
successful. So anybody you see, you're just like, hey, wait a minute, I can help you out.
That's right,
This
absolutely.
person knows somebody, because everybody knows somebody.
Everybody knows someone, and sometimes it's the quiet person who's sitting down, who is, has been in the music industry, but, their parents know somebody who had restaurants, and there's a connection in California that they're willing to help me out in New Jersey.
Right.
I'm looking for those connections. Yes, I like LinkedIn, I like the connections. I'm looking for connections that can really make a difference. And we're not just talking, give me the fish. I'm talking, please help us fish in Salem City.
Right. Right. The second point you said was safety.
Yes.
What outreach do you see as a community activist, a community organizer to help safety in Salem?
Safety, it's huge. And so first of all, you gotta tackle that perception. So I moved 15 minutes. I was living in a Quinton Township,
Mm-hmm.
so I moved right here. I can walk to my house from Salem City.
Mm-hmm.
And so I live right on 7th Street. And so I was at a violence meeting, and people were like, oh, it's so dangerous here in Salem. And I said, well, one day I forgot and left my house unlocked. My door fell open. And when I got home, there was a group of young people that says, Pastor, we've been out here for hours. We've been watching your house. I said, thank you so much. I love you guys. And you got to get to know your neighbors.
Right.
You got to get to know your neighbors. So when I moved here, the same people were telling me that, oh, there's some really, people that on your street are a little rough. And I told my daughters, my teen daughters, if you feel like you're in trouble, please go to the neighbors, knock on their door, they can help you. But these are also the same people that people have said, oh, how you like your neighbors? I'm like, I love them. I absolutely love my neighbors. I mean, if I got extra pizza, I'm knocking on the door.
Right.
Here's a guy. So first of all, you got to get to know your neighbors. Mm-hmm. And then what are we doing? We are, through the Community Ambassador Program, we are having weekly meetings with the police. They're very highly involved with our outreach programs, our community walks. We're walking up and down Salem. We are, if there is a violence, Moms Demand Action, community, we're involved. So it's not just us. We want to be at the meetings where other people, other nonprofits are doing something. What is the Puerto Rican Action Committee doing? What is the police? What's the New Jersey State Police Outreach Programs doing? And they've been here too. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it is just sitting down, doing your own personal research first, seeing what people are doing. One person did a community walk. That was Sister Tiffany Brooks. She had a prayer walk that pulled people together, and people that were involved in a shooting here. Oh my gosh. So when you get people family members that come out for the prayer walk, we were able to quickly, we pray for people, we walk the streets, we see things that need to be done. Mm-hmm. We'll help pick up trash. We're working on a self-defense class that we're going to be training the seniors first.
Right.
So we want people to feel safe. We want people to feel safe to walk in the streets of here in Salem. But first of all, you really got to get to know your people. Right. I was walking home by myself at night to my place. I must have had several people to stop. Oh, Pastor, you okay? Yes. Do you need a ride? No, don't need a ride. Right. I love the city.
Before we get to the third point that you made, or third issue, can you tell us more about the community ambassador program?
Yes. So Minister Davenport, very blessed to have her. So what a lot of people don't know, I was praying for a leader because I felt like I was doing too much. I'm a senior. I'm a senior. You know, I act like I'm 20 and 30 sometimes, but then sometimes I go home, I feel like I'm 100. I feel like I'm 100 years old. So the Community Ambassador Program is an offshoot from the Stand Up from Salem and St. John. It's an offshoot of our grant program that we have. It's a 2-year program. We've completed 1 year. And Minister Davenport, her background is in community engagement. She is a part-time sous chef for us at St. John, so she runs our food program for the daycare. But she is an amazing person. She was the president of the PTA. She is a veteran. Air Force. She had secret clearance. Talk about network.
Right.
She's very quiet. She's very quiet. She networks. We work together with Stand Up for Salem. If you're on a board, I challenge you to Google your board members. I challenge you to do it because you'll be at a board meeting for 2 hours and you don't know who's on your board and what they've done. Look at their children. What are their children doing? It'll give you a new perspective of what can be done in your community.
Right.
So that program, our Community Ambassador Program, does focus on those 3 things.
Okay.
It focuses on the grocery store, and we have a grocery store lead, we have a safety lead, we have a physical activity lead, and we work with so many different people. So even though we're working with Stand Up for Salem, we're working with St. John's, when we needed clothes, uniforms for our kids here in Salem, we had PSCNG gave us funding to buy uniforms. So there's so much here that Mid-Atlantic has been helping us with training. It is almost every organization you name has helped us in some way with our community program. And they were every second Tuesday, we have a community meeting here at Stand Up for Salem, grocery store safety, and having things for people to do. It is something else when it's not just talk, because what I like about what Minister Davenport will say, if you want to complain, you have to have at least 2 solutions to your complaint.
Right.
Because we've both been, and I'm quite sure you have too, been to meetings where people complain, and you can complain where nothing gets accomplished.
Right.
I want you to be able to say, tell me what the situation is. This is a STAR tactic that I like to use. You've heard it at school. Yeah. Tell me what the situation is. What the tactics are you going to use? What's your actions? And then tell me what the results are. I want outcomes, I want timing. And don't tell me that you got something that's been validated. You can just Google some of those resources. Mentor programs are valid. There's some mentor programs that are scientifically validated. Get yourself a mentor. There are validated programs that you can use. And even though we want sustainable programs, but you can take programs that are 4 and 5 weeks. I will argue that 4 and 5 week programs that will make a difference. If you have a young person that feels good about themselves, that helps with safety. You have a young person that's busy, active, that helps with safety.
Right.
You have a young person that's cleaning up your streets.
So it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Food, safety, and activities.
Having things to do, absolutely. It's all connected. It's all connected.
Right, very good. So how does social media play a role in organizing events or getting the word out?
I think that's what we're doing today.
Okay.
So,
I guess it is.
I think that's what we're doing today. Social media plays a huge role. Even though you called me, I didn't have time to Google you or look you up, but I could have. Of course, I'm going to do that now.
As soon as you get home.
I'm going to do that now. I'm going to look you up on LinkedIn. Yeah. I'm going to just Google you and just see what I can read more about you, what you've done, your family, because that's going to help me when it comes to, because you've put a stake in Salem City, so I need to learn about this stake that's in Salem City. You want to give back. You want to help. So social media plays a big part. But what you can't what you can't do is you can't pretend like it's just one little bowl of soup. You say, oh, this soup is so good. Wow, this soup is so good. And you just stare in the soup and looking down.
Right.
No, you got to use social media as a tool. You can't get caught up where you're just scrolling and you're making comments on people's soup and how wonderful it is.
Right.
You got to look at the big picture. You got to hit those big issues. Safety, grocery store, nutrition. How can you help people that are homeless and, who need food, and getting the resources, where is social services, and connected them there, and not talking about the resources that are here, but working with them. If you don't understand them, then, learn about them yourself and how to navigate the contracts and, the forms.
Right. Use that as a tool, not a toy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a tool.
So
it's a huge tool.
You have a lot of energy, but you obviously can't do everything yourself. How do you get community people involved in the community and involved in these activities, these meetings, these, the things that they have to do?
I'm a big proponent of not just asking, but I need some deliverables. So if I ask you to help me with my fundraiser, my cake or baking fundraiser, I'm going to say, can you bring some cookies? Can you bring enough cookies for me to feed 100 people? Do you need any help, with your team? You have it? And then a couple of weeks beforehand, I'm going to text you, you're good? So I'm counting on you. Can you tell me what kind of cookies you're making? Mm-hmm. I'll make sure everything is, I'm the kind of person, I am not a micromanager,
right.
But boy, I have deliverables, I need your outcomes. And if something, I just want to let you know, if something should happen, tell me who your backup is. Don't come tell me, oh, I can't make those cookies.
Right.
No, that's not acceptable. Oh, there's a baker here in Salem City. You may want to fundraise and ask your friends to have some money just in case we got to call the baker to make us cookies at the last minute. That's what we do.
Right.
So it is finding out who's in your city. What are nonprofit groups? What are all the groups that touch people? All groups here that touch people. And then you have this list and you start working with those groups and you start learning about the groups and you start asking people. And you don't have meetings to have meetings, but you have objectives. I'm a scientist at heart.
Right.
I need to have deliverables and timing.
You mentioned objectives. How do you measure the success of the community work that you do? How do you measure your success towards those objectives?
I think there's different ways you can measure success. So if I take grocery store, I look at how many new initiatives. Watch this. Mm-hmm. How many new initiatives that helps with nutrition and food? Well, we have at least 12 meetings a month. That's just 12 meetings. I'm going to put down 12 meetings. Now, if you want to know how many people were there, we have that too. What was the agenda? We have that too. Who spoke? So it's like a record, it's like a recipe, because our goal is to have a grocery store and to increase nutrition here in Salem City. So we're counting our contacts, our encounters when we're reaching out. Not the same. I mean, you can do numbers, but what's the unique encounters? That's a way to look at things. Right. How many mentorship programs? What are the people that you're touching? That's the way to, and we're talking that's the way to validate your programs. We know there are some resources that we're using that will actually they'll be validated. That it shows that you can decrease crime if you have mentorship programs, and we're trying to focus more on those type of initiatives with our girls and our young men. Right.
You guys sponsor mentorship programs?
Yes, we do.
What's your involvement? Not your personal involvement. What's the involvement of the youth?
The community, that's a program that's huge. So it's through the Community Ambassador Program again. Okay. So the mentorship program, we're working with another, it's called Self-Made, a girls group that is actually, we've got donated space right now, and it's like 5 weeks, and they spend about 2 hours with etiquette, proper etiquette, how to, just give you some of the topics. healthy relationships,
Right.
you know, how to communicate and talk, and hygiene is huge. Self-care
Right.
of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your family. And we thought we would be able to do a separate next mentorship group as we had the girls, but the girls want to continue the program.
Wow, that's great.
So
That's a sign of success.
it is huge. It is, and so these girls have a connection with our teachers, the teachers that we're bringing in. And it's if you talk to the older people here in Salem City, we've had these type of programs when we were growing up.
Right.
Whether they're in your community center or in churches, these are kind of programs that make a difference, that you get to talk to people and you get to talk about, you know, things that are important to you, and what are you doing for the holidays, and tell me how your weekend was. This is
Right.
just where we can just sit down and talk.
How do you attract youth to that? How do you attract the kids to these programs?
Oh, so it's when you have people like Stephanie Marshall, I'll name names,
Mm-hmm.
who's been here forever. You know, she works at the prison. She's a long stay person here. She works with Minister Davenport. And when you can talk to people in the school, we have major connections with, you know, principal, vice principal, you know, Principal Mohorn,
Right.
and Minister, she's actually a pastor, but she's actually a principal of our school, Saida Woods Carter. I mean, when you have people that are in the schools, you have your children. I have the only daycare here in Salem City. I got 45 parents and 71 kids. I got the kids. I can go, you want kids? We just raise our hand and we go to our food pantry, said, okay, we're looking for 3rd grade to 6th grade. Grandkids. I got a sign-up sheet. We get the children.
Right.
We started a male mentorship program. We got some young men that could mentor young boys. We did our first trip to Clementon Park.
Okay.
We fed them first, and this is through the ambassador program. And these young men are connected to one child. And so when you're in trouble, and when you got somebody older texting you and say, tell me how you're doing, how's classes,
Right.
send me your report card. You know, it's online.
Accountability.
Yes, accountability.
Yeah.
You have accountability partner, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it is easy to get our children. They're here. They're here. You got Pat's Pizza right across the street.
Right.
They hang out there. You got restaurants here. You got people. You got our parks. We got our kids that, you know, they come to events and fairs. We have annual festivals. Our kids come out to them. You got to talk to our young people.
Right. Now you mentioned you have the only daycare, in Salem City.
Yes.
45 kids. How do you see that shaping the future of early childhood care here in Salem? Do you see that expanding, teaching?
I want to put the word out that I would love to have 2 to 3 more child care centers here. My director, Lynn Sanders, is amazing. Our church just bought a second daycare on Walnut Street,
Mhm.
91 Walnut Street, but I don't have a director. I actually have a wait list, and we'll have to have staff. The state has already been down. We'll be able to have 67 more kids.
Wow.
It is huge. The need is great. And you said it earlier, I can't do everything.
Right.
My director, who I currently have, cannot do everything. And I will share with you, it's not just, we're looking at our families, and if they need food, we make sure they have food. We also found out that a church in Pennsville is having a marriage counseling session this weekend. We sent that flyer to all of our parents. So it's expanding. Child care is needed here. And so we're expanding. We're renovating that, used to be called the River Church. We're renovating that building. It's a beautiful building. It's right by a school, but I don't have any staff. And we have a commercial kitchen. We have adult care, a child care and food program with the state.
Right.
We're going to be cooking and transferring food over there. So it is expanding. And there's going to be jobs here. There's going to be lots of jobs. So
is this your next big initiative, or is there
for
another big initiative?
I would say our biggest initiative right now is, if you ask me as a pastor hat on, I want to win souls for the kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
If I put my community engagement activist hat on, I want to work hand in hand with Stand Up for Salem. I sit on the board. Mm-hmm. I want to work hand in hand with Stand Up for Salem, working with community engagement with our young people. I even love the historical preservation, but it's the community engagement, helping our community thrive, our young people, our families. And when you work on Main Street Salem and helping in that capacity, we got to bring more stores here. Mm-hmm. Our biggest thing is to work in those three areas: our grocery store, nutrition, safety, and having more things for young people to do. I mean, we had a water days. We turned a grassy area into a water park this past summer. That was every Friday. Our next big initiative is to take what we did this past year and continue to do that, because they were very successful. You had to be 50 now. We had a senior citizens ball. The young people served the seniors.
Nice.
Now there's a lot of things that you can measure. Mm-hmm. You got young people who are dressing in all black. They have to be gophers. They have to be served. They have to teach them how to smile. Not only were they smiling and serving, they were getting the seniors out there dancing. That is huge in itself when you can.
Intergenerational.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you want to know what we want to involve more people in our community in these type of events. Mm-hmm. I can't tell you enough how much I want to work with the city, how much I want to work with the mayor, Jody Beller, how much I want to work with our police community. We're encouraging people to go to council meetings. We are encouraging people to get in with a good Bible-believing church, because we are talking to each other. We are helping each other out. We're praying for families. And I'm here for the long run.
Right. So what keeps you motivated day in and day out? Something personal. I think I probably already know the answer, so it's probably a silly question, but I'll let you answer that. What motivates you? Is there some kind of personal or community stories that continue to fuel your passion for what you do?
Okay. You know, my family, first of all, God. Mm-hmm. I give everything to the Lord, and I am on fire for the Lord. I am getting my counseling degree, right. Biblical counseling degree. Why? Because I'm counseling so many people, and I need to have that degree. And what motivates me is my relationship with the Lord. I can get in my secret closet, and I can cry. I can pray for families who need it, and I may not have it. And these families, prayer works. And people say, well, what keeps you motivated? Well, first of all, I got to eat physically. Right. I got to make sure I'm drinking water. I got to make sure I'm staying healthy. I'm in Jersey. I love the beach. So, when you want to feel good, I will go to the beach, and I will just sit and listen to the water. I'll take my good book. Usually it's a Christian book, Good Morning, Holy Spirit, Right. But I'm reading. And what keeps me motivated, I make sure that mind, body, and spirit, that I am being, healthy in all three areas. I can be on fire for the Lord, but if I can't get out of bed, what? I can't do anything.
Right.
I'm called to do the work. I call myself a servant leader, mm-hmm. and I want to help other people. I want to know what true love, faith, hope, charity, that's our model for our church, but our community. I want to work with everybody who wants to do something, and I want to do more God things than good things. What motivates me...
Can you explain what you mean by that? God things and good things real
quick?
Yes,
so good...
In less than an hour and a half.
So good things are, getting up and, feeding the poor, maybe going to a meeting, talking about safety. But God things are when you truly read about your city. You read those, you get down and you start praying or you're fasting about your city. And you're saying, I'm just a person, what can I do? And sometimes people forget about your own family. And so that's why this weekend I am going down, driving 7 hours to see my son and supporting him. And I can pray for my son. My son knows I love him. But then when my pastor friend here lost her mom here in Salem City, and the service, the homegoing service was on a Saturday, a football Saturday.
Right.
I had to get on my knees and say, well, Lord, so watch this. I had to call my son and tell him, I can't go to your game. He said, why, Mom? And I had to tell him why. And he was like, oh. I said, Mom, are we praying for you? But then I took it a step further. And this is what prayer and fasting, God teaches you these kinds of things. I called up another family who's in Charlotte, North Carolina. I text this mom. We call her Mama Drew and Tom. And if you saw this mom and dad, you'd be like, Pastor, I can't believe that your son is calling that woman his mom. Oh, she doesn't look like me. She doesn't talk like me. But I'm going to tell you, the relationship, it's unreal. She was yelling and screaming for my son. My son can go to their house, that he will eat at their house. And these are the relationships that I'm talking about. True, and we don't talk about these relationships, but these are relationships, they're just like blood relationships. And even though they may not look like me, they may not sound like me, because boy, she doesn't sound like me at all, but I love her so much that she was like a mom to my son, and I was able to support my fellow pastor here.
Right.
And it was just what was needed.
Right.
So that's a God moment.
Okay.
All around.
All around. Now, we started off when you described yourself as, I think you used the word competitive.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So your son is captain and defensive lineman at Elon University, correct? And as a mother, you've supported, and how did you inspire him in this journey? You were an athlete as well. We talked about that, an All-American athlete. Do you think that influenced the drive and leadership in you and passing that along to your son?
I think it is. I truly believe that what drives me and those good qualities when it comes to helping other people are qualities that, people can see. We always hear that we are being read by many. It drives my son being competitive. It drives all my children being competitive. But you can be competitive and love the people that you're working with and who are you can be friends with somebody, but you may have a competitive moment where you're on the field, but then you can truly be friends with the person. And for my son, I think he saw his grandfather, which was my father, extremely competitive. We want to win, but we want to win the right way. So that means you get yourself physically strong,
right,
and strength. And I don't want to say anything bad about the other team, but boy, do I cheer for Elon University.
You're the loud mom.
I am. I'm the loud mom. I mean, I would actually say, who do we love? D-Line. And I would just say, I love you, D-Line. And these big grown men would turn around. And you can't tell me what drives people, because you've heard about how fans drive football players. It's the same thing with our community. Parents drive people. I mean, when I had one of our daycare young boys say, I said, can I tell you a secret? He said, yes. I said, promise not to tell anybody? He said, yes. I whispered, I love you so much, but don't tell anybody. He said, why do you love me? He said, why?
Aww.
And oh my gosh. I said, I think you look cool. I like what you have on today. I like your mom. I like your dad. And so that's what drives me. You get those opportunities to speak life into people. I will end it with this story. So when my son, when he was in Salem High School playing football, and he said to me, Mom, one of my football players, the grandmom came to the school because my football player's dad overdosed. They were on the practice field here at Salem City. I said, what did you do? He said, Mom, he dropped to the ground when he heard his dad died. And this is terrible. I said to my son, I said, did you go up to him and put your arms around him? He said, no. I said, what? I said, did the coach go up to him? And I said, did you guys go up there as a team and put your arms around him? He said, no. I said, what? I said, what happened? He said, I get emotional, I get so emotional now. He said, the grandmom took him and they walked off. I said, well, we're going to give him a card and I'm going to write to your teammate. And I said, I love you. I said, I'm so sorry. And my son said, well, Mom, his dad was doing drugs. I said, I don't care. That was his dad. I said, I'm sorry you lost your dad. I'm so sorry you lost your dad. If you need anybody to talk to, you can always talk to me. And I gave him $20. And I put it in the card. And, oh my gosh, Josh, I said, you got to go hug him. And so he hugged him. He came to me, and he calls me Mom now. And I just love it. That's what we have to do in our community. That was an opportunity that was missed. Our team missed it. So that was a teaching moment for my son.
Right.
And there's so many teaching moments. What drives him? Those are teaching moments. Mm-hmm. Those are teaching moments. There's so many teaching moments. And that was a teaching moment. And if I see this young man today, dark hair, or, if I see him, he knows he's got to hug me, because it's a teaching moment. A teaching moment, I don't care if it's a child or if it's an animal, because people's animals are really important to them.
Oh, absolutely.
My daycare director heard that somebody lost their animal. I'm praying for this woman. When you got somebody who's living by themselves and they lose an animal,
companion.
It's a companion.
Yeah.
So I know my director is writing a card, getting a special card for them, because it's coming from the heart.
Right.
We want you to know that we're there for you. This is what drives us. This is what drives my son, and hopefully he'll be the kind of person that he was like my dad and like me. I'm not perfect. I need to be better. I need to have more of those teaching moments.
Right.
I want to teach people how to fish, and I'm willing to say I'm sorry.
So what is the vision of Salem in the next 5 to 10 years? Where do you see Salem City in the immediate future?
I see us having a full-scale news center here. I see us having a grocery store, more shops, more people coming in, because this is a beautiful Victorian city. Mm-hmm. It could look like Williamsburg. We are right over the bridge. We're 15, 20 minutes from Wilmington, Delaware.
Right.
We can have people coming in from Philly, Delaware, over here into Salem City. I mean, we just have to bring Salem City up to its original glory. We have to get those grants that we can get the right contractors to renovate. We have such a beautiful Christmas parade that takes place on every first Saturday of December. And those are the kind of things where you get the word out. You get proud of your city. Right. I always tell my food pantry line, I'm like, shh, don't tell anybody about Salem City. It's wonderful. I love it. I love it here. It's beautiful. So I see in the future that we're going to do more with Foreman Acton. It's our free money. It's our people. We're going to showcase what's the people in the past that have been very successful here. Right. We're going to showcase our city.
Right. A couple of very final questions. Favorite ice cream?
Vanilla. Really? Yes, I love vanilla. People think that's I'll splurge and go French vanilla.
Okay, there you go. French vanilla. Ooh la la. Favorite meal?
I'm like every other kid. Peanut butter and jelly pizza.
Pizza. Perfect. Favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I like Remember the Titans. Here lately.
There's that competitive spirit again,
yeah,
right?
Remember the
I can
Titans.
see you jumping off the couch watching it.
Excuse me. I love I love Chosen. That's a movie I'm out right now. I'm already caught up.
Right.
I'm a binge watcher on that.
Binge watcher on that.
Yes.
Music?
Music, oh my gosh. Of course, I love every single gospel song, but I also love jazz. I love reggae. I love music. I can hear the music. I play the piano. I took lessons from a music teacher here in Salem. I tested out a music requirement in college. You know, I have a old baby grand in my house that I can tinkle with, but I love music.
Favorite place you've traveled to?
Favorite place, I just went to Athens this past year.
Nice.
And my favorite would be Bali, Indonesia. But if I have to really say what my favorite place, Salem.
I knew where that was going to come in.
I love Salem.
And then finally,
there's nothing like home.
What's your favorite?
No place like home.
Favorite Bible verse?
Romans 8:28.
Why? Can you quote it or
yes, I can.
paraphrase it?
All things work together for good to them that love the Lord, who are called according to His purpose.
Okay.
All things work together, you know, for the good.
Right.
All things work together. So even though we could be, and I love that Bible verse because even when there is craziness and horrible things happen, you know, all things, God is working things out for your good.
Right.
And as a believer, you know, I know He's working things out for my good.
So all things, including community.
Including the community. I'm here.
Right.
I'm here. Including our community. And I'm looking for the good. And
You're just going to keep looking for the good.
I'm going to keep looking for the good. In college, they said I wore pink glasses. That glass, is it half full or half empty? Woo, it's half full. Salem City is half full.
There you go. Keep looking
That's
for
not
the
half. People come in and say it's half empty, or it's empty. Oh no! Can't you hear the water, see the water?
Yeah.
The vitality, the excitement that people have. I'm encouraging those people that are talking negative. If you're around me, I'm gonna shut it down.
Right. Keeping the good.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Sonita Johnson, thank you very, very much for being with us. And thank you for watching. I'm Dean Johnson, Editor-in-Chief of Follow South Jersey for the Follow Salem podcast. Thank you for watching.